Yes. The role is constrained to the organization where we have assigned the role. Perfect. That was about role-based security. Then what are the configurations we created as part of role-based security group? First, what did we do? We created a role. What was the task to do that? Maintain assignable roles. There we created our assignable role. Then there were some parameters like single assignment. Then we have what else? Hide on view if not assigned and self-assign. Are we clear with those? Do you want me to go over those one more time? Those parameters that we had self-assign hide on view if not assigned. No, we are good. We are good. All right. Then, after we created the role, then what did we do? We created a security group. What was the task for that? Create security group. Create security group. We chose the security group type as role-based security group constraint. That's what we selected. Then we had a few options there. First of all, we had to associate the role with the role-based security group. We did that. What is the recommendation there between the role and the role-based security group? Name should be the same. We will try to keep the names as the same. That's what we will try. Then there were some options in the role-based security group about the inheritance. We chose the default option, which says to the organization and unassigned subordinates. That's what we chose. There were other options, like only to the organization, or for all subordinates and to subordinates to a certain level. These are the other three options that we had. We will choose judiciously. Then we went to the organization, to the supervisory organization type. We assigned the role to a position. We discussed what happens if the position is vacant. What happens if the position is vacant? Can we still assign the role to a vacant position or an unfilled position? Yes. We can. But there is no worker for that particular security. Sorry, for the particular role. Then what happens? Who does the actual work? It is inherited from the. It is inherited. If there is a role assignment done at the superior organization level, then it will be inherited from the superior organization. Yes. And then we also started talking about a user-based security group. Now, what is the difference between a role-based and a user-based security group? Unconstrained. Perfect. Yes. Because there is no constraint. As such, it is unconstrained. So it is typically an unconstrained type of a security group, and the typical examples are your administrators, auditors, report writers. These are some typical examples of a user-based security group. Now, does anyone remember what is the process maintained security group? Workday delivered. Yes, Workday delivered. And then, what does it do? How is the membership defined to those security groups? Like for role-based, we assigned the role to the position. For user-based, we assigned it manually. To the security group, we assigned the Workday accounts directly. Now what happens in a process-maintained security group? And what are the two types of process-maintained security groups? Two versions. One is a self-write. Examples are employee as self-contingent worker as self-retiree, as self-terminee, and so on. And the other is a version which says all instances of that group. Like, for example, all employees, all contingent workers, all retirees, all termines, etc. So that is the other version of the process-maintained security group. Now can we assign a user manually to this particular process-maintained security group? Yes, we can. Sure. Yes. Okay. Then how does it differ from a user-based security group? Okay, my question was, can we assign a user directly to the process-maintained security group? What would be your answer? Yes or no? We can change it. We can change what? We can change the permissions, right? We can change the domain security policy permissions. We can change the business process security policy permissions. But can we assign a user to the process-maintained security group? The answer to that would be no. We cannot do that. We cannot assign a user to the process-maintained security group. That is the difference between the other type of security groups and this one. And how is the user assigned? By Workday itself, right? Depending on the process. Hire, termination, transfer, etc. Depending on the process, it will automatically assign the worker to that particular security group. Okay. So this was about domain security policy permissions. We talked about the domain security policies. And then we talked about the different kinds of security groups that we have in Workday. Absolutely the most commonly used ones, like user-based security, role-based security. We talked about those. Now, like you said, the domain security policy permissions talk about access to the data objects, right, and to the reports or tasks. And it gives you what kind of access? View or modify. Right, and we also have get and put for integrations. So what is the other type of security policy that we have? The business process security policy, right? So the business process security policies are associated with functional areas, just like the domains. Because, if you remember, when we talked about functional areas, we had two components of functional areas. What is domains? One is business processes. So business processes are also associated with functional areas, just like your domains are. And the business processes are secured by the business process security policy. Okay, the business process security policies will control the access to the business process. And it contains things like who can initiate the business process, who can approve tasks in a business process, who can view the steps, who can rescind meaning rollback, who can roll back the business process, who can cancel an in-progress business process, who can correct or make changes to the business process. So each of those kind of things will be controlled by the business process security policy. Okay. And another important thing is the business process security policy also controls who can be added to the business process definition or steps in the workflow. You did your assignment 3. And when you were editing the business process, the hire business process, you remember there was a task where you went to the business process definition and you edited it. And you added a step called proposed compensation hire. Correct. And then you went ahead and selected compensation partner in the drop-down list. Right. Did that. Now, how do we define that drop-down list? How do we ensure who all are allowed in that particular step? Right. That is what is controlled by the business process security policy as well. Who can do those steps in the business process definition? Right. It's not up to our whims and fancies. Okay. This process step should be done by such and such. So first, we have to go to the security policy and we have to ensure that that security group is allowed to do that step in the business process definition. Okay. It's a very, very common mistake. Even senior consultants sometimes miss this part, that in the business process security policy you also have to enable the security group that will be able to perform that particular task. Right.